Hey guys, this is the second half of my response video to the Horror Fan Man. And I decided to, rather than talk about the non-prosecuted horror films, 'cause I don't really have enough of them, then I decided I would talk about the horror film censorship in my neck of the woods. Back in the 80s, like the mid-80s to the late 90s, film censorship got really bad in this province. You see, like in Canada, each province had its own film review board. And in Canada, we got a bunch of asses in here that basically they sat down and they were watching movies, and every time they were offended by something, they would have that scene removed. And some films weren't even available at all. So I got a small selection of films here that I'm going to talk about, like and how they were edited and stuff like that from back in the day when I was a child. And it was really a shame because back then I was really aware of what was being done. And it was really horrible seeing a film and realizing, hey, it's missing that scene and that, especially back in the days when I was collecting old Fangorias, and I'd see pictures of the scene, and then they'd come out on VHS, and then that scene was totally missing. So I got these films here. I think they're kind of like in chronological order, and I'm going to go and talk about them. Alright, so first up, we have Reanimator, and this film actually, it wasn't really so much as butchered in a way. It's just that in Ontario, we only got the R-rated cut, as opposed to the unrated cut, which was the director's preferred version of the film. The R-rated cut was actually something that the producer had put together so that I could play, I don't know where. I didn't realize that this film was actually cut until I went to my mom's house in the States, and she had the movie, and I was watching it, and I noticed that the scenes were different. You know, there was a little bit gorier here and there, and the end of the movie was a bit different because the scene where Dr. Hill has Megan Halsey on the strap to the table, like it went way different than the version that I had. I still like the original R-rated cut. I know that there are some releases, some Blu-rays that are on Region B that actually do have both versions, because the R-rated cut actually has more exposition scenes as opposed to the unrated. But this is the one I would first start with. Alright, next up we have Demons. Roberto Brothers Demons. This one was really butchered as well. Although most of the gore was cut out. It was really odd. It made the film choppier than it needed to be. But and I think Demons 2 was butchered a little bit as well. But now that's all in the past. Alright. Let's see here. Alright, next up we have Day of the Dead. Now the Ontario Film Review Board actually banned this one outright from playing in the theaters back in 1985. However, they did allow it to have a release on video, but it was severely butchered. Like every bit of gore in this movie was butchered. Captain Rhodes' death at the end of the movie, gone pretty much completely. The scene where the zombie gets up off the table and his guts fell out, also gone. And there's some other gore missing as well. All the soldiers' death scenes were butchered, basically. Now I did find a video when I was researching the Ontario Film Review Board that a student made from Algonquin College back in the 1980s, where he talked about them and censorship. I'm going to put a link to that video in the description box so you can see what was going on at the time. Alright, so let's go on to the next one. And that's Hellraiser. Got the original video cassette here from New World Video. This one was censored too. I didn't realize it at first because it's such a good gory film. But there's a scene where Julia is with her husband in the bedroom, and they're getting ready to make love, and then Frank shows up, and he's holding a dead rat and a knife, and he takes the knife and he slices through the dead rat, and for some reason that was too much for the film censor board. For that scene went, and also towards the end, where the Cenobites have recaptured Frank, and he started torturing him again. That scene was also shortened by a few frames as well, which is really odd. As for Hellbound Hellraiser 2, we only got the R cut of that, R-rated cut, as opposed to the unrated cut. Alright, let's see here. Next, we got the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. And this one was severely butchered by the Ontario Film Review Board. They cut 17 minutes out of this movie, which was really, really odd because the film really wasn't that gory, but there was the fate of a character named Lefty. They totally cut what happened to him in this movie when the female DJ gets captured by the Sawyer clan. Which is really odd that they would do stuff like that. It's funny now because now you can buy this movie here totally uncut and stuff like that. But back in the day, if you wanted to watch this one on video set in Ontario, you were severely missing out. Alright. Next up, we have Dario Argento's Suspiria. And the reason why I pulled this one out is because this release here, I think, what's the video company? This Magnum Entertainment. When they released this back in 1989, this was a pretty big deal because Suspiria was one of those films in North America that was only available in a butchered form. And I remember reading in Fangoria magazine, everybody was celebrating this release on videocassette. And basically, everybody got this uncut except for Ontario, which decided to cut some scenes out of this thing too, so it wasn't completely, restored. And this video cassette, well, not this one, but this release, there was actually even a letterbox release, which I think was one of the first letterboxed VHS tapes I ever saw. This one, unfortunately, is still a pan and scan, but it was still better than what had come before it. It was a real shame that they didn't allow this film to play or to be released uncut on videocassette when that was the whole reason for this release at the time when this came out. I'm always still hanging on to this release. I used to have the cut version, but I've gotten rid of that a long time ago. Alright, and last up, we have Dead Alive. Now this obviously is the US release, which is the 97-minute cut. I think Peter Jackson's original cut was 108 minutes. The thing here is Ontario, we were stuck with the 85-minute cut. Now, near the University of Windsor, there used to be a video store called Obertron Video, and they had an American distributor, and he was able to get his hands on this cut of the movie on VHS, which is the 97-minute cut. And he was renting it, and it was all good, until one day the police showed up and confiscated his video cassettes. They were like, well, no, you can't have this is contraband, and they destroyed them, which is funny now, because if this film wasn't out of print, you'd be able to go to any shop right now and, pick it up. But, and also, I thought it was really sad, because, the gore in this movie is all done with a comedic tone, so it wasn't like there was nothing really all that offensive, but the Ontario, Film Review Board found this film to be really offensive, so they butchered the shit out of it. Alright guys, I guess that's it, my trip back down the memory lane, the bad old days of film censorship. Back in the days, it really sucked. Luckily, we had the border, so my buddies and I, we had crossed the border as we got older to pick up movies that we couldn't get over here. It's gotten so much better since then. Films like I Spit in Your Grave weren't available, Henry Portrait of Basilica wasn't available, Necromantic 1 and 2 not available. Now I can go to any Cinema 1 or HMV and pick up a copy of Cannibal Holocaust or Cannibal Ferox or almost anything uncut. They even had copies of a Serbian film, and had another one there. Can't remember the other porn one. All right, guys. Oh, excuse me. Thanks for watching. I don't know. It's good to be a horror fan today. That's all I gotta say. All right, bye.